Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining the patch note breakdown for the Midnight Suns update. I am super hyped. There's tons of info, so let's dive right in. Everyone is going to be getting Man-Thing for free, and I want to hit that free really hard because this is the first time in 2 years, okay? Almost as long as your dad has been out for milk that we haven't seen a free character. Cersei and Kingo were the last characters to be free. Like my boy Man-Thing. I'm not talking free for 2 weeks. I'm not talking free through the future pass. I'm talking literally free forever. Okay? So you don't need to log in to get him for free. You can log in 2 years and get him for free if you really want to wait that long. But why would you? Because this update is a banger. Now, Man-Thing looks pretty nice. I'm not going to spend too much time looking through the details on these sheets here for the characters because I want to test them out in game later on tonight. For those of you also wondering, we're going to be live streaming on later on tonight at about 3 a.m. Eastern time, so do not miss that. Keep it locked here on the channel for that amazing live stream. It's going to be dope. We might day 1 tier 4 Doctor Strange. Who knows? Can't make any promises there. But yeah, Swamp Thing's leadership looks pretty good. Debuff duration and HP for PvP. He's got a 50-40 skill damage bonus damage with all defense. He's got the auto healing like Wolverine. Mwah. Very nice. And then he actually has a brand new effect. He's got a brand new effect called Panic. We actually haven't seen a brand new sort of meaningful debuff since, I believe, Fracture. And Fracture was introduced to the game in 2018. So Man-Thing is bringing a lot of new things to the game, which I'm quite excited about. So yeah, Panic seems quite nice. It increases the basic damage that enemies receive by 30%. We'll have to see how Panic works, if it's like Fracture where it applies even with debuff immunity, because Fracture ignores debuff immunity. So we'll have to wait and see. But he has Panic on his 2nd skill, he has Panic on his 4th skill, and he has Panic on his 5th skill. He also has like Frenzy buffs and Accumulation. Don't worry, they didn't do my man dirty. The only thing basically missing from this update, I will say this, is iframe ignore. There are no characters with iframe ignore. So yeah, doesn't seem to be a PvP focused update besides the potential for whatever Panic does. Now, Doctor Strange is getting a new uniform. He's also getting a tier 4. Looks pretty nice. Fat crit damage, fat guaranteed crit rate, so he should be very, very rage friendly. He's getting a 45 increase, or is an all attack increase on his leadership, is going up to 45% with 20% ignore dodge. He keeps a time freeze, 25% chain hit with 100% chance to penetrate barrier, shield, and immune. Not as good as other penetrations because it doesn't include invincibility, but still it's very strong. Like, it's usable for PvP, I would say. He retains the remove all buffs, okay? And he also has a 25% heal on his 4th skill, but he does also keep the long cooldown on his 5th skill with the 30 seconds. So that's kind of yikes. However, he gets a V-pad. My boy gets a V-pad. He's got a V-pad. You get a V-pad. You get a V-pad. All right, the Oprah of V-pads. Very exciting that he gets V-pad. Also, for ABX and ABL, for what it's worth, he does have stun. Sorry, he has burn and silence on his 4th skill. And then he's also got paralysis. And then he's also got snare. So he's just missing Fracture and something else. But yeah, pretty nice. Pretty nice. Sister Grimm, pretty interesting. She becomes a support character. So she gets chain hit damage for herself, which is all brand new. Her leadership gives her a kind of shitty-ass shield like Sharon Rogers. But here we go. To all magic allies. So any allies that have the magic tag, like Doctor Strange, like I believe Adam Warlock, Doctor Doom, Wong, all of those allies, when they're debuffed, they get cleansed and they get a 10% heal. Not bad, not bad. And remember, that applies to Otherworld Battle. So you could put together a magic team for Otherworld Battle with Wong, Adam Warlock, Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, and Nico instead of Wasp. So yeah, pretty nice there. She gets 35% damage reduction, which is not a small number. And she gets a pretty fat 45 skill damage bonus damage. The rest of her skills pretty straightforward. She's got pretty short cooldowns on everything, so she should be able to pop out a ton of damage. She gets frenzy buffs. She doesn't have accumulation. I've noticed that. It might be on her tier 3, but she does have invincibility. She has a 20% heal, and she has some other stuff there. And then we get to Dr. Voodoo. Now, Dr. Voodoo also looks like a bit of a support character because all allies get 30% ignore dodge. Then his leadership applies debuff effect increase and all attack. So he basically turns into kind of like a hero version of Black Cat, who is a very good leadership, basically the best leadership in the game for something like Dispatch. So if you like farming Dispatch, or if you don't have some of the heavy-hitting tier 4s for Dispatch, Dr. Voodoo may be a very, very good leadership for that. And the nice thing is, because it's all allies, you can swap in heroes and villains as you please. So really nice stuff there from Dr. Voodoo. And then he retains a lot of his, big damage stuff. He's got that heal when he applies poison with a 9-second cooldown, which is okay. But he also has another heal for 25%, so he does have 2 heals now. He gets the accumulation, he gets the frenzy buff, and then he gets everything else. So pretty nice. He does lose the V-pad, RIP, but he had to give it over to Doctor Strange, which I'm not too sad about. Doctor Strange getting a tier 4 here. Very boring with the tier 4. It increases his basic attack by 50%. I'm snoring, bro. I'm snoring with this shit. Someone made a post on Reddit, and as swampy as that place is, they were right. Remember the old tier 4 effects, like, Captain America can't receive any damage above an HP percentage, or Iron Man where he gets a shield that takes absorbs damage that he takes, but also increases his damage as he deals more damage. Black Widow, where she gets a chance to she dodges 30 attacks regardless of the hit, and she also gets a damage increase. Or Black Bolt getting final damage, whatever that means, and Pierce. Gone are all of those really cool effects. Now everyone's tier 4 is just, I'm going to increase your attack. It's so boring, dude. They need to be more creative with tier 4 skills. I do genuinely believe that. But he also has damage. He also deals damage. Now it's only an 80%. It's not a 1000% like Blue Dragon or anything like that. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how strong that is. And then Sister Grimm's getting her tier 3. She does have accumulation on the tier 3. Her tier 3 actually looks really gorgeous. It's like fire and ice and magic all at once, and it leaves this huge insignia on the ground, on the air, on the ground. Anyways, it looks really cool. It looks really cool. Yeah. And then Voodoo and Man-Thing Transcendence. Keep in mind, for Voodoo getting the Transcendence, he also gets access to Panic. So there are technically 2 characters that have Panic. You have Man-Thing, of course, and then you also have Dr. Voodoo specifically on his 6th skill, Cursed Staff. So yeah, the 6th skill actually looks really cool because Swamp Thing becomes huge and he kind of slams around. I really like that. I do genuinely like that. I'm also a simp for both Voodoo and Man-Thing. Did I say Swamp Thing? Anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. And then we come to some new content here. So there's this new thing called Team Up Collection. I don't want to spend too long on this because we're going to have to experiment in-game with it. But essentially, specific characters from these thematic subgroups are going to have access to special challenges whereby if you complete them, you get coins, and then you use the coins to upgrade buffs that apply to these characters. So this is not like the comic cards. This does not apply to all characters on your roster. It only applies to the characters designated under each category. And you can see the characters here designated under the 3 categories that we have for now. We have Midnight Suns with Doctor Strange, Scarlet Spider, Iron Fist, Ghost Rider, Blade, Moon Knight, Man-Thing, Voodoo, Wong. You have Sinister Six with all the Sinister Six characters, obviously, even though there's more than 6 of the Sinister Six. I guess maybe Kingpin is the big notable holdout from this list. And then X-Force with characters like Cable, Wolverine, and Storm. As far as meta goes, I would say the X-Force list is the most meta right now with Cable, Storm, and Wolverine. The Midnight Suns is probably the 2nd most meta with Doctor Strange and Moon Knight. And then the Sinister Six is probably the least meta currently with Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin, and a little bit, I guess you could say, of Mysterio. A tiny bit of Mysterio. But yeah, mostly just Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin. And it's no surprise here. The Sinister Six one is actually the shortest, along with Midnight Suns, but it also has the fewest tier 4s, right? The Sinister Six one only has 1 tier 4, Midnight Suns has 2, and of course X-Force has 3. Now, I wouldn't look at this list and think that these are the characters that are going to get upgraded next. Like, oh, X-23 is going to get a tier 4 soon, guys. Or, oh, Blade, Ghost Rider, Iron Fist are going to get tier 4 soon. I don't think that's what it means. I think just what they're trying to do is create these team-up collections to highlight specific characters and create more of a thematic feel in the game to get players to focus on specific groups. And I've highlighted this a lot in videos where I think that this is one of the biggest weaknesses of the game is that there's no incentive, there's no real vibe to playing with thematic teams. It doesn't really feel that important, right? You just slap on the best lead, whoever that is, right, regardless of their relationship to your other characters, and then you slap on the best damage, and then you slap on the best support. So maybe this will change things a little bit. Now, I do want to stress this here, that these buffs only apply to the theme target heroes. So they've made this very, very clear. They said it multiple times. Team up options will be applied to all game modes, but team up options will only apply to the target theme heroes. And if you scroll through here, it says collection options will only apply to heroes of the target theme. So they've tried to make it very clear that these buffs do not affect all of your characters on your roster. So this is not as powerful as comic cards, and it's not as powerful as the sword effects, okay? It's much more niche than that. However, you can get some pretty strong effects. If you take a look at here, it scales 1% attack up to 6, and then once you get past 6, you start getting additional pierce damage. So if you're able to max out your team up collection option to level 18, for those characters specifically, like let's say you upgrade the Midnight Suns one all the way up to max level, which is 18, and it's this level here, right? Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. If you can get all the way around using the collection tokens that you unlock by doing these challenges here, then you will get the maximum buffs. And there's actually more buffs than that, but 40% attack and 10% pierce is pretty nice. Like Doctor Strange could be running around with 35% pierce. That's pretty nuts. Like that's a large amount of pierce. So this could absolutely keep some older characters in the meta. This is a huge bonus for characters like Moon Knight and Storm, who are old tier 4s by today's standards. And it also kind of sucks for more recent tier 4s like Black Panther and potentially other combat villains in the future because of Dr. Octopus. Like, how are they going to compete with Dr. Octopus when he also has the Sinister Six collection team-up bonus? So, yeah, it's a bit of an awkward thing for that, but it's really good for these characters otherwise. As far as the challenges go that you have to do, there's not a lot of information out on that right now, and that's really where the difficulty lies, in the challenges that you have to complete with these characters. However, someone did send me an image from the live stream that was captured where it showed some of the challenges, and one of the challenges here said to reach normal uniform rank with 12 uniforms of these characters. So what that means is, of these 9 characters or 10 characters, you need to own 12 uniforms. Now, immediately people are going to look at this and say, 12 uniforms times 1,000 crystals, that's 12,000 crystals, Alex. This is the worst system ever. This is absolute trash. Well, it's actually not that simple, thankfully. Some of these characters have basically free uniforms or gold cost uniforms. Like, I'm pretty sure Iron Fist and Ghost Rider have gold cost uniforms. I think maybe Moon Knight has a gold cost uniform as well. So these uniforms are from, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And back then, they actually used to give away uniforms for gold. They don't do that anymore, but they used to with the old ones. So I don't think this is going to be... This is not necessarily what's going to appear in the game, because this was a test build that 3RL was showing us. But even if that's the case, this is not actually 12. This is more like 9 or maybe even 6. I'm not exactly sure how many gold cost uniforms there are from these lists, and we're not sure if these challenges are the same for each of the different team-ups, collections. So I wouldn't panic too much about that, but those are some of the challenges that you can expect here. The challenges themselves also unlock buffs, and the buffs can be really good. Like the buff for stage 5 can give you increased damage to villains or heroes or increased boss type, and it does have a very RPG aspect to it where you level these up with gold, and then you get to lock in one of the 3. You can change the option later, but unfortunately it does cost crystals to change the option, so we'll have to monitor A, how expensive it is to change, and then B, how often you can change, so that we can identify what the best strategies are and what the best buffs are to upgrade, right? Because you don't want people to be spending their crystals kind of needlessly. So that's pretty cool there. Otherwise, and yeah, it seems like it'll be a nice long-term thing to build for players who are interested in these characters specifically. The good news is, if you don't like any of these characters on either 3 of these lists, you can kind of just ignore this content, because like I said, it doesn't apply to all of your heroes, so you're not missing out on anything, which is what I think makes this a little bit better, and it definitely makes it more easy to adopt. You can take this and sort of build it up slowly if you're not interested in the characters, or you can hyper focus on it and make it your primary motivation if you really like one of these characters and you want to make them as strong as possible. It definitely increases the ceiling on how strong these specific characters can be, which, hey, it's great for players who love these characters, And then it also means basically nothing if you don't like any of those characters. So yeah, there's sort of something for everyone in a way. And then we're getting some game mode reward improvements. So they're adding tier 4 materials to the first clear rewards for story ultimate difficulty. So let me just repeat that. The first clear rewards are rewards that you get one time when you clear it for the very first time. So it's not a farmable thing. It's not something you're going to be getting every day. It's just a one-time thing. But it's for every single stage. You can see here you get 20 here, you get 30 there, you get 30 there. So this should add up to a decent chunk, probably in the low to mid hundreds, when you clear all of the story mode chapters, because there are 31 in total. So that's pretty nice. The first clear rewards are also being reset after the update. So this is a huge PSA to anyone watching who has not cleared all 31 stages. There's 20 stages in the Dimensional Clash, there's 4 stages in the True Shield and All War, and then there's 3 stages in the Future Ends here. Go clear them now. Go and get your free first clear rewards, because they're going to reset. They are going to reset, which means if you didn't get them before and then the update comes, then you can't get them. You can't get the old ones. The old ones will disappear. The good news is, for everybody that already got all of the first clear rewards, you're going to be able to collect them again, baby. They're being reset for everyone. So I will be able to collect it. You will be able to collect it. Everyone will be able to collect it. So there's basically just 31 new free rewards for just clearing each one of the stages one time. Like tier 4 materials, 3-star unique artifacts, and uniform upgrade tickets. So some very nice rewards, again, completely for free. I really like that. I also like the fact that they're doing it in story mode. Maybe they're going to add a chapter 5. That's what I'm really hyped for. They're also buffing the rewards that you can get when you buy the Otherworld Battle Premium Battle Pass. I'm not going to talk about this because it's a premium reward, but they are making it more value for players who spend the money. So that's great. And then they're buffing the rewards for Alliance Tournament. This one came as a shock to me. I thought the devs completely forgot about Alliance Tournament, but I guess they didn't. For those of you guys that don't know, Alliance Tournament is for the top 16 best alliances in the game. So it's sort of like a who's who of the most hardcore players and the sort of the players who have the most stacked accounts. So those 400 players now have access to, at minimum, 2 million gold per week. And then if they get first place, they get about 10 million, they get 10 million gold per week, which is quite nice. So an extra big chunk of gold there for the hardest working players and then the biggest spending players, in my opinion. They've also added better chests and sort of more chests for, again, these players. So you get a random chest, you get a chest with a random reward here from heroic all the way up to mythic. And then if you rank first place, you can see there that you're going to get 2 mythic chests. So potentially, those players could be seeing 400 if they get really lucky. They could be seeing 400 Soul of the Foul Team per week. Now, obviously, the chances of that happening are slim to none, but still, the chances of seeing some Tier 4 materials are nice, and the fact that they're putting more Tier 4 materials in this kind of content is also nice. They've also changed the rewards for Multiverse Invasion. Instead of getting ISO 8 rewards, you'll get Boost ISO rewards. That means your inventory tab should fill up much more slowly, which is very, very good. The new artifacts are pretty boring here. Sister Grimm gets increased damage and ignore dodge. Man-Thing actually gets a pretty good one. He gets the Gilgamesh one and the Juggernaut one, where he increases his max HP and he heals a chunk as well. Voodoo gets decreased damage received and he gets an all-attack increase. Not bad, but again, not too PvP friendly since he doesn't have iframe ignore. We have the new Future Pass icons, including a Avengers icon. So read into that as you will. Maybe the November update is going to be Avengers. I don't know. We also have the Marvels to think about. We also have Loki to think about. We also are still waiting on Secret Invasion. So there's still a lot sort of cooking there. We do have the Uniform Collection. So for those of you wondering if we were going to get a part 2 with like Ghost Rider and this sort of thing, it's unlikely now because of the Uniform Collection. However, remember that seasonal uniforms, and we should be seeing a seasonal uniform update for Halloween like we did last year with Morgan Le Fay and Black Bolt. Those don't apply to uniform collections. So Ghost Rider or someone else could technically still get a Midnight Suns uniform for the seasonal uniforms that are released separately. It also means that a Midnight Sun character like Ghost Rider could get a non-Midnight Sun uniform, like, let's say, Avengers 1 million BC, where he's riding the giant mammoth. I'm just saying, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. Then we have improvements to artifacts. Woo! This was a huge one for me. Auto purchase. Holy shit. I'm not talking about the driver from The Simpsons. I'm talking about auto purchase, baby. You check that button, you press purchase again, and then it just keeps purchasing it for you. No more having to click and skip and click and skip and all that shit. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's going to make that so good, baby. I got to record a video on that as soon as that shit drops. Amazing. There's going to be able to check what game modes certain buffs apply to. And then they're doing a bunch of other things there. You know, nothing really important to talk about except for the fact that if you have 2 or more heroes on a team who have a CTP of Insight with different reforge options, you will get both reforge options. So they will not stack if they're the same option, but if you have the 2 different options, they will both apply. So there's the 2 different options are increased damage to boss types and then decrease additional pierce damage received. I don't think this really matters for much content because there's very little overlap between boss types and boss types that deal pierce damage, if any. One is very PvP focused, this one, and one is very PvE focused. I'm not exactly sure why they did this, but they did do it. So I don't know what that means. It doesn't really mean anything right now, though. And then they had some game error fixes as well, with, you know, again, something that doesn't really isn't really worth mentioning too closely. So yeah, those are the patch notes. I'm pretty hyped. There's a lot to dive into with the new, what is this called? Team up collections, but we'll have to wait for in-game stuff so that we can see the gritty details and we can start grinding these out to get these collection tokens. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Oh, actually, I'll see you tonight. Take care.